Thank
Now we
you.
want to quickly move on to our next speaker. That is Mr. Ogunshile Olawale.
First and foremost, from where the other speaker stopped, because he said that we should erase that mentality that education is a scam, which is the usual thing that everybody believes in Nigeria. So going forward from that, the previous speaker has spoken a lot. He has shed light on so many things, but I will just like kind of buttress on what he has spoken about. First of all, I want to talk about scholarships. Scholarships come in various forms. For those of us who don't know, there is partial scholarship where you get partial payment for or stipend for your fees. There is the full scholarship. There is those ones for studentship. There is the one for teaching assistantship. There's the one for research assistantship, and there is the one for tuition waiver, where they just pay for your school fee, and then you have to look for means to settle your maybe your other costs like your living expenses or transport and the other ones. And also there are some scholarships that are offered by universities, and there are some scholarships that are offered by the government of a country. There are scholarships that are offered by some institutes or some research organizations. And sometimes some scholarships are combined. I mean, you can have a combination of maybe the government with some institutes or some organization coming together to provide a scholarship. So like the moderator has said, when I did my master's, I got a government scholarship. So I actually had my master's in India for 2 years. So it was like a bilateral agreement between the Indian and the Nigerian government. So it was a government scholarship. But now, at the moment, the scholarship that I have is almost similar to what the previous speaker spoke about. It's not really a scholarship like that. So it's like an offer from an institution now. So I have a scholarship from an organization or an institute here in Germany. So I also want to say that getting a scholarship is not an easy thing. So it's not for the faint-hearted. Like, it's something that you need to be very you have to be very tenacious. You have to be very passionate about it, because there are many things that will kind of pull you down, in the sense that the previous speaker forget to mention that it's not usually a bed of roses. Like, it's not always easy, because when you send emails, you will get rejections, and most people, they always get discouraged when they get these kinds of rejections. So they just, and if that is you, then I think it's not something good. So rejections will always come, but it all has to do with how well you take them. Like in my case, there were rejections, but each time I get a rejection, I try to sit down and I'm like, okay, what have I done wrong? What is it that I have not done in my last application? So I have to now work on that. And my next application, I kind of send a better one to the best of my knowledge. So, yeah, I will just say the first thing that I will say here is that also we should also know where we have in mind for our scholarship. The previous speaker is a research assistant in the US. I mean, there are lots of scholarships around the world. So, but you have to have your mind set at some countries, like, okay, are you interested in America? Is it Europe? Is it Middle East? Is it Asia? So because the reason why I'm saying this is because each country, they have different policies, they have different ways by which you can apply for their scholarship. So the first thing I think is important is you should know where do I want to go to, where do I have in mind, and then after that you can now start making your research about when you have some, I mean, particular places in mind, you can start researching about schools that offer the kind of course that that you want to do. That you want to go into. So when you find schools, when you find universities or maybe institute or whatever, or if you, and also one other thing is when it comes to scholarship application, is information is very key. There's a saying that if you are not informed, you are deformed. So you need to surround yourself with people that have, I mean, the same people that are like minds, people that are also passionate about, you know, getting something good for themselves, and you can also subscribe to some groups, like I mean the one Mr. Noah is doing now, where you can get up to date information about available scholarships. So that's the first thing. So then when you find a scholarship that you want to go for, the next thing is that you have to ask yourself if you are qualified enough. And that means you need to read and understand the requirements of the scholarship. So if you are qualified for the scholarship, that is when you should go for it. Because if you are not qualified and you have not really understood the scholarship and you go for it, at the end of the day, it could be a waste of time. So do you meet the requirements? And if possible, you can find out about the funding. Like the previous speaker said, that he is being funded by the grant that his supervisor has. And that is what is common in most schools abroad. Most times your supervisor gets a grant, a research grant. And the research grant it's usually, I mean, millions of dollars, euros or whatever. So it is from that grant that they will be able to pay for your own funding. So, and that is why, so that's why I say scholarships are, I mean, they have different kinds, they are different varieties. They are like, that is a kind of a type of scholarship. That one where it is not like it's not like a standard scholarship. So especially for those of us who wants an opportunity for masters and PhD, that is the usual, I mean, the common one. So that means you will have to start sending the cold emails to potential supervisors, people that you have, I mean, read their profile on their university page, and you feel like, okay, this person is doing something that interests me, and I really want to. So you send an email to the person. But one thing that was not mentioned before about sending an email is that you also, which I didn't get it from the beginning as well when it comes to sending email, and it is about checking the time of the country where your email is going to. For example, you know, we have these time differences. In America, like in America, some part of America, they are like 8 hours behind Nigerian time. And from my experience, I realized that most of these white people, or these people in these Western worlds, they only read their emails in the morning when they get to the office. So if you are applying to maybe US, you need to check the time in the US. Like, what time will it be in the US? I mean, Nigerian time, maybe 8 a.m. in the US, so that when you are sending an email, the person gets the email at exactly maybe between 8 or 9 a.m. when they are checking the email. They are very busy people. So, for example, if you are sending your email, you did not put that into consideration, and you sent your email and your email get delivered maybe around 8 p.m. when the person is sleeping. So the following morning, there will be, backlogs of emails to read. So they will not even read yours. Because, yeah, but when you send an email, when as maybe the person is just getting to his or her office and opening the, his or her mail, and the first thing the person sees is your email. So they will check it. So, and I think that works a lot. So it works a lot. And then, uh, still on that, we, like I was saying before, that we also need to, whatever scholarship we are applying for, we should also find out about it. If we meet the requirement, we should also find about how much funding will I get. Because it's not just about leaving Nigeria. It's not just about going abroad. Because many people that are abroad will not tell you what they are facing there. So you also need to know what you are putting your head into. How much is the funding? Is it going to be sufficient for me? Because yes, in some places the funding may be a lot in naira when you do the conversion, but in reality, it is much more than that, because in most of these countries you pay rent. you know. So if you are thinking, okay, the funding is maybe when I calculated the funding is like 1 million naira. So yes, it is 1 million naira, but that 1 million naira is not the same in US, because you will pay your rent. By the time you finish paying your rent, by the time you finish doing some other things, you might be left with nothing. But the good thing about studying abroad is that you have the opportunity to work, which to study and work together. So which is good. So it all boils down to the fact that okay, so that means it's something that is serious. It's not something that some people will think that okay, when I just go for the scholarship, I'm going there to enjoy. No, there's no enjoyment. So I'll move forward from that. So we should be able to, we should find out about if we can work, and also we should also find about if the scholarship, your intended scholarship, allows you to stay after your study. That's also very important. There are some scholarships that when you finish, they send you back. You have to go back home. So, and most of us, we don't want to go back yeah, that's the norm. And they say, like for example, the scholarship that I got for my master's in India, because it's a government scholarship between the Nigerian and the Indian government. So one of the requirements of the scholarship is that when you study there, you have to go back home. And most of these, even some of these scholarships like Commonwealth, like all these are Chevnin, they are like that. You will sign an agreement, because part of when you are submitting your statement of purpose or your whatever it is, when you are submitting that, you already have plans, and you have told them what, because they will ask you what is the significance of, how will your studying in their country or going for that scholarship benefit Nigeria. So you would have highlighted some plans, some things you want to do back at home after your studies. So those kind of scholarship automatically means that once you finish, you have to pack your load. In fact, they will pay for your flight and they send you home. So you should also check that. And so another thing is that, yeah, I've mentioned this before, is that we have to be strategic when we're looking for scholarship. So we have to position ourselves for information. We have to take time, and sometimes, most times, not even sometimes, we will not get reply when we send. That's for those of us that we are looking for PhD or postdoc or master's opportunity. You may not get a reply when you send an email. So you should not let that affect you. And you should also put into consideration the timing factor. So when you send, and eventually when you get a reply, you should not rush to respond. You should take your time to brood, to think about how well, because the thing about scholarship is that there are a lot of opportunities out there, but there are, many people that are qualified for the same scholarship that you are looking for. So they will make sure, and they are not just looking for any other person, because you are it's more like you are contending with people from the Western world, from different parts of from Asia, from America. So you have to be on top of your games before you can get something. I will give you an example of that, like the scholarship that I got for Germany. Actually, we were like 250 applicants from all over the world that we applied, and usually they did the first screening where they screened us to 150. So 100 people are shaded off, and then after 150, the next phase they now kind of screened us to 12. So from 150 to 12. So the 12 people were asked to come to Germany for interview. So out of the 12 people, these are people that are from England, from Italy, from the best of the best in the world. And out of 12 people, they only needed 4. So the interview was like it was for like 3-4 days, after which at the end of the day, by God's grace, I'm among the 4 people that were selected. So that also tells us that the God factor is also important in scholarship. You have to be on your knees and pray to God, because it's not easy. So that's that. Okay, so
Thank you very much, Mr.
I will
Johnson.
just it's okay. I know our time is fast.
No, is there
Okay.
have any other things to?
Okay, yeah. So, I saw some people they were talking about the fact that, okay, if I have 2-2, does that mean it's the end of the world for me? Or some people were saying, if I don't have a job, we know the situation in Nigeria, there are no jobs. But when you're applying for a scholarship, they want to know what you are doing. Even if there is no job, you can volunteer. There are some organizations, or there are some places where you can go to. For in my case, when I came back from India, Mr. Noah can testify to my story. I was coming with a lot of passion, hoping that, okay, now I've acquired knowledge, I did so well, so I'm coming to Nigeria to. But when I got to Nigeria, there are no jobs. I waited for over a year, or even almost 2 years. But what
Yes,
are you
that was a
doing
bad
within that
one.
time? So you need to start volunteering. I remember I was more like volunteering, offline. I was looking for, I was even ready to work in some places where I will not get paid, because I cannot just sit down. And that is what they look at. That's where they will ask for your CV. So that's your CV. They don't want to see gaps. So if they are saying, okay, I graduated from Landmark in June 2020, and then the next thing you are showing on your this thing is that or maybe you are not even showing anything. So they will like, what is this person doing from June 2020 till now? So you can put some things. You can volunteer in some NGOs. You can volunteer. You can go to some places, some companies, or you can go and do internship. Even if they don't want to pay you, you can just do it, just to put, so that you can be relevant. You can be doing something. So I think in my case, that is actually what worked for me, because I was not. It was a hustle, and a really bad one, but I made sure that I was doing something. I had a office. I had an office in the house. Every day that I sit down, I sent applications, and yeah. So, and I was praying to God, and eventually, when the right one comes, uh, it came. So,
Thank you
I
very much
think
for your time, Mr. Johnson.
yeah,
Yeah.
you must
Now
have
I
said one
have
or
one
two
question
things
for you.
that might be beneficial. Okay.
Yeah. Can you please tell us the words of your scholarship? Because from your presentation, you told us that it's not all about securing scholarship. It's all about securing a scholarship that will foot your bills. So can you please be sincere and tell us the words of your scholarship? I know it's a mouth-watering word as it changed. So
Okay, actually, I will not. I'm very sorry. I will not want to mention
yeah,
it.
well, it's
But
a
yeah, but I think what we can do to do that is that when you're applying for example, if you are going to America now, you can actually make some research about what is the living expenses in America, how much is the rent, how much do I need for transport every month, so that you can have an idea of, okay, let's say, as if you are studying in America, I need maybe $1,200 per month, and there are taxes. There are taxes. Sometimes in some countries they don't tax you when you are studying. For example, in Germany, I don't know if you know about that. That scholarship, normally that scholarship pays 800 euros. It pays 800 euros stipend per month for masters and undergraduate, I think. And for PhD, that scholarship pays 1,200 euros per month. For that, there is no, I mean, they will not deduct tax. So, but if you say 1,200 euros in Naira, if you convert it, yeah, it's a lot of money in Nigeria. But then if you consider the fact that, okay, if I'm getting 1,200 euros as stipend in Germany, you need maybe to get a rent of maybe every month you'll be paying 400 euros from that. And then you need to get maybe for transport, maybe you need like 100 euros for transport or 200 euros. So you need to put those things into consideration. Although when you work in some of these countries, like in Germany, depending on your scholarship, you can work, you can study and work. Yeah, so that is the good thing.
thank you very much. Now I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Now, how serious is language barriers when it comes to studying in Germany?
Okay, so thank you very much. That's why I said you also need to put into consideration the country that your country of interest. There are some countries where you don't need language. For example, if you want to go to the US, yeah, you still need language because there are some language tests English tests that you need to do. But there are some most countries in Europe, most of them, they will require you to learn their language. I mean, but there are English, there are programs that you can also take if you don't know their language. But when you arrive, you can start learning the language, and before you finish your program, I mean, speaking the language is a plus in the sense that when you can speak the language, it will be easy for you to integrate into the system. That means you don't have to go back home. For Germany, usually they always encourage that some of these programs, they always encourage that you should learn German, but not all of them. But some, like 50%, may ask you to learn German. So there are some institutes in Nigeria, or you can also learn it online depending on how good you are in terms of, I mean, learning language. There's Goethe Institute in Nigeria. We can search it, or we can Google some institutes that offer German courses. Yeah, so we can learn from them, and they also they are just like the language courses are also like these IELTS and TOEFL. So at least as far as I know, I think you only need a B. Sometimes they may say A1 level, or sometimes they may say B1 level for language in German.
Thank you very much. Another participant has a question for you. He said, how true is the fact that education is free in Germany?
Yeah, it's a true fact. Education is free, not only in Germany, in Sweden, it's free. In Germany, it's free. It's true. But the thing is that although it is free, but the question is now that how will you sustain yourself if the education is free? How will you pay for your accommodation where you will be staying and studying. How will you feed yourself? And that is why scholarship is important. Or if you don't have scholarship, you can work. But so there are some people that don't come on scholarship, you know. Maybe they have some money, but when you want to come, you can also come for self-sponsor. So when you come for self-sponsorship, it means that you come here because the education is free. You are not paying, but you can work and study at the same time. You sustain yourself from the money you get from working.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the
Now, in the absence of questions from Mr. Johnson, we'll move to our next speaker.